Hey, today is Friday, August 13th, 2001, and I'm coming to you live from the Rising Eagle Studios here at the Warrior Healing Center in Sierra Vista, Arizona. Today's guest veteran is Mr. Bill Beecher. Bill, sir, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Bill, I had to make notes with this because I didn't want to screw it up. Bill is with the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1093 here in Cochise County.
Absolutely.
So thank you for your service, and it's an honor to be able to interview a Vietnam veteran. I've been wanting to do that. We'd like to be able to talk a little bit about your service, if we go.
We can.
All right. So first thing I'd like to know is, where were you raised? Where was home?
I was born and raised in Dubuque, Iowa, on a farm until I graduated from high school.
Okay.
I got about 3 months of vacation before I got my draft notice.
So you were drafted.
I was drafted.
Service, right?
Before they went to the other system of notifying people that you're about to join the military. So I was already through basic training at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
And what year was that?
That was in 69.
In 1969, okay. Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Fort Polk, Louisiana, home of the infantry. And after I'd gotten out of the first phase of basic training and headed for AIT to do my infantry training, knowing I was on my way to Vietnam, I got my second notice that I was going to have to join the military. And I was like, I can disregard that. I'm already like 10 weeks into the program, so I've already got a head start. So
leave it up to our government, right?
Yep. Well, that's what happens when they transition from one program to another. There's not really a smooth transition program, but they definitely wanted to get as many people into the military during that time period as they could.
So you were an infantryman, you said?
I was an infantryman.
Okay.
I finished all my stuff at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Okay.
I signed up for airborne training, so I went from there to Fort Benning, Georgia. I got through airborne training. They asked me if I wanted to go to the Pathfinder course. I said, oh, yeah, absolutely.
And what's that?
It's like an air traffic control.
Okay.
And doing some demolition. So I said, anything to keep me in the States for another 4 to 6 weeks is good for me. So I said, sign me up for another school, Maybe things would change in the meantime, and maybe I go to Germany or Korea and not Vietnam, but no such luck. I was destined to go to Vietnam.
Now, when you were in jump school, and then you're saying that you went to the Pathfinder program?
Went to the Pathfinder
program.
And
so after you completed that, how much time in service had you had at that time?
Oh, probably 6 months.
About 6 months? And what was your rank at that time?
I was a PFC.
PFC.
Getting ready, got my orders, got my ticket to go to Vietnam. I had 2 weeks leave, had a report to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So I was assigned to the 101st. So I got 3 lovely days at Fort Campbell before they put me on a plane. And next stop was Cam Ranh Bay.
Okay, you want to tell us a little bit about what it was like when you stepped off the plane? Or actually, it wasn't a plane, was it? It was a plane.
It was a plane.
It was a plane.
That's what they sent us over. I was not alone. There were plenty of us on that plane. But yeah, we landed Cam Ranh Bay. We probably got about 30 minutes or so, basically just enough time to go to the restroom. And then there was an E7 there that said, okay, all you guys got orders for the 101st. Follow me. And we walked out onto the tarmac with all of our bags, got on the CH-47, and the next stop was up in the I Corps, northern part of Vietnam, which I stayed there for the next 11 months and 27 days. But who's counting?
Right. What were some of the jobs or duties that you had while you were there?
I'd also, part of the airborne school, I'd already gone to the Pathfinder, which is the air traffic control kind of thing. So my job there was threefold. Number one, run an LZ and load the people that needed to go out and do combat operations.
Okay.
Or run the PZ, the pickup zone.
Right.
Or to man the LZ when they came back from their mission. Second part of that was being part of those combat assaults. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at that, you were on like the second aircraft on a combat assault going into an LZ, because your job was to provide air traffic control and to make sure that the jets that were dropping bombs and doing strafing and the helicopters, didn't get mixed and collide, and to help adjust artillery. That was part of the training too. So if we weren't doing that, we got 3 or 4 days in the rear for what they call an in-country R&R. And otherwise, the peaceful part of the job would be assigned to a fire base for a month. And there you would make contact with all the helicopters coming in and out, doing the resupply, bringing in guns and ammunition and VIPs and all that stuff. So we stay very, very busy.
And other duties as assigned, too.
Other duties as assigned. Other duties as assigned. So basically, we work for that camp commander.
Okay.
Loosely. We reported to him, if we needed anything, if we had any issues or problems, and got our updates on what aircraft and when to expect. So we would do sling loads coming in and rig the stuff up for sling loads going out. You get the empty fuel bladders and water bladders. Well, you got to take some of that old stuff out to make room for the full stuff. So we stay plenty busy doing basic air traffic control and resupply on the fire bases.
Because I wasn't there, so I don't know, I wanted to ask this. Did you have a lot of interaction with the South Vietnamese, like as far as any kind of support or anything like that? Because they had military there, correct?
They had military, and our main focus with them is if we were doing a combat assault, the rules there said if you were an airborne pathfinder and there was a pickup zone, you were the air traffic control component of that pickup zone, and you had to coordinate with that infantry commander, whether it's U.S. or any other foreign entity. So we did have a lot of missions where it was us and it was the U.S. commander in charge of the mission on the LZ, but we were moving South Vietnamese troops out to do the mission.
Was there any kind of like communication issues or anything at that time, or?
At times, but most of their leadership had English as a second language, broken of course, but they still could communicate. It wasn't like hand signals or having to have an interpreter or anything like that. So.
And how long were you in country for?
I was there for 11 and a half months.
Okay, and then after that, what happened? What was next?
Next was return to civilian life. I was a draftee, so when my mission ended in Vietnam, I went to Fort Lewis, Washington. That's where I re-entered the country, and there they kept us for about 8 days and out-processed us, gave us a plane ticket home, and said, "Thank you for your service. Goodbye."
And sadly, you weren't treated very well when you got home either, were you?
No, because
which just pisses me off to no end, but please.
When we went to the airport to catch our flights home, we were greeted by a lot of war protesters.
Yeah.
People threw sodas at us. They threw water at us. They threw other items, called us a bunch of baby killers and all other kinds of names that I'm not going to use here.
It's sad, though, that our veterans were treated that way in that time.
And that lasted for a lengthy period of time.
Yeah, it did.
Even after the war ended, we were considered baby killers, and I just don't know. I think it's the college professors that were anti-war people. I think that fed them a line of BS and gave them this thought process. Well, and it's not like I volunteered.
Exactly.
That's I was drafted. I didn't volunteer to go over there, and shoot other people.
That's what I was going to get to. Is that
I was drafted, so the Army told me either you do this or we're going to send you to prison, or I could run to Canada like some of them did.
Right.
But I felt the need to serve. I was raised that way.
It's just, I don't know, it's mind-boggling because I know we had, like you were talking about, a lot of protesting at that time and political infighting and everything. And today's military, when they go over there, it's volunteer. Where, like we were saying, you didn't have a choice. Well, you did have a choice, like you just said. You
serve or run. That was the
Right.
choice.
Right. And I would say 99.9% of our Vietnam veterans did the honorable thing and they served. They did not
They
run.
did. They did. I know that I had some people from my graduating class in 1968 that were draft dodgers, and after the fact, after the war ended, they had regrets of not having done their part for the country.
I don't think I could live with that on my conscience.
I think that's what it was.
You know,
I know that people in that era, parents, I think, had a lot of influence on us 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. Those that were in college didn't get a free pass either,
right?
because as soon as they got out of college, a lot of them got snagged and sent to Vietnam, or they got snagged and they served somewhere in the military. So very few people escaped it at that point in time, in that era.
So when you got back and you processed out of Fort Lewis, Washington, what was next?
I went back to Dubuque, Iowa. That's where I grew up, went to
Right.
school, lived on a farm.
And you had how many years in at? And it was Army, right?
It was Army, and because they let us out early after the tour in Vietnam, it was supposed to be drafted for 2 years.
Okay.
I got 21 months and some odd days
Okay.
of service in the military. And then, of course, you're not done yet because you have a minimum of a 6-year obligation for the rest of that 4 years, plus a few days.
I was going to ask you about that.
You were in the ready reserve, so
Right.
you were subject to recall and couldn't do a thing about it if they decided that they needed you. So at the end of the 6 years, I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't want to hang around the military. I don't want to make it a career at that time because of what was going on and the attitude of the Americans, all the anti-war protesters who, as typical, the loudest voices get the most attention. The majority of the people are silent and they support, or they go, oh, okay, I don't like it, but that's what these young men and women have to do for their country.
And Bill, that was like 50 years ago, and not much has changed today.
That is true.
Politically, as far as,
That is true. We still do not get a lot of support from the politicians. So I took a 5-year hiatus from the military, and I was working in a private company. And I said, you know what? I really miss this military thing. So I went and joined an Army Reserve unit.
Okay, and this was after your
heavy.
6 years, right?
This is at about the 9-year mark.
9-year mark. Okay.
I said, I miss this. I miss the camaraderie. I love being part of an organization that operates, from A to Z, and it's structured. I wasn't a wild child, but I really enjoyed having some structure, and that seemed to provide that structure that was missing in my life.
I totally get that.
And it was a combat heavy engineer company. So growing up on a farm, I've always operated dozers and tractors and stuff like that. So here I joined an organization and had dump trucks, had dozers, had graders. It was a combat engineer battalion. So I felt right at home. I mean, I walked in the door and it's like, oh, I got to go to the motor pool and learn how to drive a 5-ton truck. Well, I should be able to do that in one weekend. I don't have to go through the lengthy driver's training because I just give me the manual, let me look at it for about an hour, and I'll go out there and start it and back it around and load it up and dump it where you want it. I mean, I had already done all that stuff on the farm. So
so you had a lot of experience.
None of that stuff was foreign to me, and it was fun for me. So I enjoyed having that opportunity. So I did that for 7.5 years.
Now, when you got out, you said that you had that long break and then you went back into the reserves. Did you have to go through basic training again?
No, but that story's coming.
That story's coming.
That
Great.
story's coming.
Okay, good. Please, go ahead.
So in 1989, the company that I was working for, meatpacking plant, was going bankrupt. The dad died, and the three brothers were fighting over control of the company, and it looked like they were going to go bankrupt. So it just so happened that my engineer battalion commander I played volleyball and racquetball with. So we're playing racquetball one day. I said, "Hey, I'm really seriously considering going back on active duty. Will you write me a letter of recommendation and help me get through the system for a chance to go back on active duty?" And he said, "Absolutely. If that's what you want to do, I will assist you." So I went through that process. Now I had to go back through basic training because I was off active duty more than 5 years.
Did your rank from Army Reserve, did that transfer in to basic training, or how did that work?
I got out of the active military the first time as a Corporal E4.
Okay.
I went to basic training as a PFC.
Okay, good. So it did count.
At the end of basic training, and let me back up. In the reserves, I was an E6.
Oh, wow.
But they in the reserves they would not recognize that rank, so I had to go back on active duty for training as a PFC. But at the end of that, then you're a warrant officer candidate, so you're automatically moved to E5 and paid at that rate.
Okay.
So I never did get back to that E6P, but we had 6 weeks of warrant officer basic training, teaching you how to be an officer and a gentleman. A lot of PT, a lot of classes on rules, regulations.
And where was this at?
And that was I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Fort Dix, okay.
Yeah, lovely place. Better than Fort Polk, Louisiana, where I was at the first time. But after 2 weeks, the drill sergeants figured out, hey, this guy's prior service. Let's make him a platoon leader.
I would think so.
So they made me a platoon leader. So I had a platoon of nothing but guys that were getting ready to go to flight school. There's other prior service and people just coming out of the college and university that signed up for that program.
Now, at this time, it was peacetime, right?
Yeah, it was peacetime.
Yeah.
Yep. That would have been in 1987.
But Desert Storm was coming.
It was coming, but we didn't know it was coming.
Right,
yet.
right.
So here I am. I'm back on active duty. And went to Fort Rucker for flight school, passed all that stuff, came out as a Huey pilot assigned to Fort Hood, Texas.
Pilot? Really?
Helicopter pilot, yep.
You flew?
W1.
How cool.
Ended at Fort Hood as a W2.
I did not know that.
And then I had an opportunity. They were looking for people to transition into the big helicopter, a CH-47.
Okay.
The Dipsy dumpster with the twin blades
rotors,
on the top.
yeah.
Yep. So I got that transition in 93, and then from there went to Korea, from there to Germany, from Germany to...
Where were you at in Germany?
The first time I was in Germany was at Mainz-Finthen, near Würzburg.
I've never heard of that.
It's closed.
Okay.
It's closed. But that was a big unit, and we got a couple deployments out of there too, to exotic places in the world. And then from there, I went to Fort Hood, Texas. And from Fort Hood, Texas, I went back to Korea. We had deployments out of Fort Hood also.
Okay.
Korea, I went back to Germany. And from Germany, I went to Fort Stewart. And I retired out of Fort Stewart, Germany in 2001 as a W3.
Fort Stewart, Georgia?
Fort Stewart, Georgia, yes, sir.
Now, I've talked to quite a few veterans, not only interviewing them here, but just because I have so many friends that are veterans, and every single one of them that I have talked to that have been to Germany have nothing bad to say about their tours over there. They really liked it, especially the beer.
Well, the beer and the wine.
Yeah.
It's a great wine producer too. So, yeah, if you couldn't find anything to do on a weekend while you were in Germany, you were hard pressed. And there was a short period of time where we went to Aviano Air Base in Italy, and we had a contingent of Chinooks there. And then the Air Force said, yeah, we don't want the Army here. This is an Air Force base.
Okay.
So they moved us back to Germany, but this time they moved us out to Würzburg, Germany.
Okay, I've heard of that.
So yeah, that was the second time with the wine fest, beer fest, sausage fest,
Okay.
all kinds of fest, and made some great friends. Still in contact with several of those in the Würzburg area.
And that's what's great about serving is that you make
Yep.
all these friendships and to just have that, interconnectivity still today, even with service members that you probably served with 40, 50 years ago,
Yes, yep. And we the one unit that was at Mainz Vinton, their name was the Geronimos, and about every 5 years they have a reunion. So those numbers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Sadly. Yeah.
But hey, that's part of life. But it's been a roller coaster ride, but I couldn't have asked for a better career.
All
So
right.
when I was done with reserve time and active duty, I had 30 years. So I stepped away from that
And retired at what rank again?
at CW3.
CW3, Chief
Yep.
430. Okay.
So then I took a vacation for about 5 months.
Well, I was going to ask you after you got done and you retired at Fort Stewart, Georgia, where'd you go from there?
We stayed at Fort Stewart, and I got an opportunity with the Army to become a
Army.
DOD, yeah,
Army.
U.S. Army,
Yeah.
to become a Department of the Army civilian
Great.
in the safety sector.
Oh,
So I went to
cool.
school for a year to get certified as a GS 11 occupational safety and health professional. So
That's pretty high rate.
I was assigned to the 3rd ID, and not too long after that, they got their marching orders for their second trip back to Iraq. So I did all of the air, rail, and highway movement. What do they call it? Risk assessment.
Okay.
Considered all the things that could go wrong and what we would do to correct it. And I got a acceptance for a job out here at Fort Huachuca.
Had you ever been here?
Never
been here.
Had not even been in Arizona. But it looked like I was going to go to Iraq, and I said, Iraq, fort, the fort out here in Arizona.
Fort, we gotcha.
Yeah.
You ain't going nowhere.
My wife said, you know what, you spent 30 years in a uniform. I would appreciate it a whole lot if you want to stay married to me, that if you found something that was a little bit safer to do. So I accepted the job out here at Fort Huachuca, working for the unmanned aircraft systems unit out there as a safety guy.
At Libby Airfield?
No, I was out at the Black Tower.
Black Tower,
At the
okay.
facility out there. So
And what were you doing? Training drone pilots or?
I had the safety program that kept me out of trouble. I oversaw the safety program for everybody that worked there, and it was enjoyable. I mean, I'm one of these people. You give me a job that gives me a reason to get out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and go be productive for an entire day. That was my niche in life.
Yeah.
Providing those services and overwatch for these young military soldiers and building a comprehensive program out here.
And isn't that drone
compliance with
program?
OSHA.
Isn't that drone program amazing though? I mean,
It
how
is.
you can be
It is.
sitting in Las Vegas or Nevada or wherever, and you're operating a drone thousands of miles away. It's just
And typically the special ops people launch theirs out of Florida, and they'll go fly in Iraq or Afghanistan or other exotic places that we've not been privy to,
right.
and they control it from a box, a shelter, through a satellite, up to these jet-powered observation decks, thousands and thousands of miles away, and providing all that data back for the strike forces and the ground forces to maneuver and take the bad guys out.
It's just amazing how technology has helped us advance in our military, and it also keeps boots off the ground when they're using these drones, for surveillance and other.
A lot of people don't realize that these remotely piloted vehicles, what they were called initially.
Oh, really? Okay.
Were actually we had a few of them in service in Vietnam, but it was only
Wow.
like the Rangers and Special Forces and CIMI people that had any contact with them. The only reason that I knew that they were there, I happened to be in Da Nang when they brought one back, and to recover a unmanned aircraft, then basically they crashed it on the ground.
Well, you were doing air traffic control. I would think you would know about it.
Well,
Or have to know
out
about it.
on the fire bases, we didn't know they existed.
Ah, okay.
But I just happened to be at the right place at the wrong time, if you want to say that, or the right time, to see, wow, that's a remotely piloted vehicle. That's cool.
Is this an alien spaceship or something?
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people.
Because we didn't have that kind of technology. I didn't think back
we didn't
then,
think
so
we
didn't
did.
think we did, right?
Well, we don't know what technology they already have.
True.
We only know what we see either in training or on the battlefield. So there's stuff that's taken place that the special ops people have, and they sometimes buy stuff right off the shelf and do some modifications for their mission, but there's stuff out there we're not even aware of.
Wow.
So that adage that Big Brother is watching is not too far from the truth.
Right.
Not too far from the truth.
So you're working civil service, and then did you retire from that?
I just recently retired.
Just recently retired, okay.
From the civil service. I was GS-12. But even as a GS-12, I spent like 7 years on Fort Huachuca. I felt like I needed a challenge and a change, so I accepted a job. The command is in Germany, but the duty position was in Kosovo.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a GS-12 here. That was a GS-13 position. I got selected for that job, and I went to Kosovo for 3.5 years. And I stayed the extra half a year because when you get ready to retire, you retire at the highest grade or rank that you had at the end of 3 years. And because they cut me short in Vietnam, I didn't want to run into that problem, so I stayed the extra 6 months to ensure that I had a full 3 years on the books so that I could retire at the GS-13 grade.
What was it like over there? You're one of the first people I've had the honor of interviewing that have been in that part of the country.
It was part of the UN program.
Because there was a lot of infighting there, a lot of ethnic.
And that's why we were there.
Right.
We still had the U.S. forces and a lot of international forces. And peacekeeping was the main mission there.
Right.
Doesn't mean that people weren't shot at. Doesn't mean that people weren't killed. During my mission I was there, I got shot at a couple times. Fortunately, nobody that I was with had any issues. Nobody was hit. But we reported everything, and then they brought a squad of people in to check that area. And if they could catch them, they go to prison.
Well, thank God they were bad shots. So but
I still get teased about it because a couple of the people that were in charge there then are here now.
Okay.
And I see them on a regular basis, and my only comment to them is, "Hey, welcome back." And they went, "Oh, you're here. Yeah, okay, welcome back." So, but then in January, I gave up the civilian thing. The system as a civilian was changing. The demands and stuff that they wanted to have on you, the change in programs, and I went, I've been doing this government service thing for about 43 years. I think it's time to step out and let somebody else have this. So I retired with 13 years as a Department of the Army civilian the first of the year this year.
That is outstanding. One thing I love hearing about Department of Army civilians is a lot of them have never put on the uniform, but they're still serving our country. They may not have taken the oath, for the military, but they've still taken an oath and they're supporting
that is true.
Our country. They're supporting our military.
That is true. And they still have a direct impact and effect on those that are in the uniform, that are out there serving. We send them to plenty of military-style schools so that they learn the military system. So it's not like they're operating in a civilian job, in department of whatever, but not know what it is that military entity does for a living.
Well, for those of you that are Department of Army civilians or contractors, thank you so much for supporting our country and our military and doing the job that you do, because we need them there.
Absolutely, because there's only about 1.5% of the total eligible population that actually serve in the military,
Right.
Put on the uniform. But then there's about another 8 or 9% of the community in the United States that serve the government in these other capacities.
I could always tell who a veteran was working civil service, because when I worked at Greeley Hall,
Sure.
and at
Familiar
415,
with it. Yep.
you go out the doors, and this was back in the early 80s, mid 80s, and the buses, they used to have the buses to Tucson, and all the civilians, when they had the, help me out here, Bill, the lowering of the flag, what's it called?
Flag, yeah, retreat.
Retreat, thank you.
Yep.
When they had retreat, they all stayed inside. Your military veterans would always come out and pay honor to the flag.
Yep. You knew that at 4 o'clock that's what you would expect.
Oh, was 4? Yeah.
A lot of people would, duck out the door at 3:45 because they came in a little bit early because for whatever crazy reason. I mean, most of them had served already in the military in some capacity, did not want to go through that 3 or 4 minutes of retreat for the U.S. flag. And you're right. Some of them would hide indoors because they didn't want to stand out there with their hand in a salute,
or hand over
their heart, for 2 minutes. But yet, they reaped all the benefits of being in the service and having all of the after service medical care and everything that they're provided as one of the benefits of having served.
I don't want to get too political, but one thing that it just irritates me today is when people say, oh, well, if you stand for the national anthem or if you pay honor to our flag, then you're a racist or you're this or that. And what's wrong with taking pride in your country?
Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it, but, there's such a vast percentage of people right now that have no appreciation for those of us that went and fought, and so many of them that died. 64,000 U.S. Citizens died alone just in Vietnam, and that doesn't count any of the follow-on missions that we've had in Iraq and Afghanistan and other exotic places in the world. But it's funny, only if it's one of your family members that goes in the military and is either wounded or maimed or killed, do you really understand and respect what it is that the military provides as far as protection of our freedoms and stuff in this country.
Amen.
You can't get these people that live in this country. Well, if you don't like honoring the flag, you don't want to follow our rules and regulations, you think the Constitution and all that stuff, well, that was done back in the 1700s. It doesn't apply to me today. Well, then obviously you didn't do well in history class or never took a history class, or you don't have anybody in your family that served or was injured or killed. So even though there's like only 1.5% of us that actually served, the impact back to the families is probably closer to about 10-12% of the total population in the United States. And then, of course, you got all the anti-war people,
right?
That draft dodgers, stuff like that, went to a university, got their professorship, and now they're teaching our young kids in the schools. And what they're teaching them is the Constitution is antiquated. Don't pay any attention to it. You don't have to follow any of those rules. Most of the rules that are on the books were made for non-white people. I don't see color.
Right, I don't either.
So, the rules were made so you don't have to adhere to the laws and the regulations anywhere you are in the United States because it only pertains to the white majority. That's what the rules were written for, which is incorrect. There was no color when they wrote those rules and passed those laws. It was, if you live in the U.S., here are the parameters. Here's the left. Here's the right. Here's the top. Here's the bottom. And they're not so restrictive that you can't function, as a U.S. citizen. But it scares me a lot right now with what this Democratic Party is doing with the open borders. Even though they got people there that the borders are closed. Well, maybe the checkpoint coming across the border is closed, but they won't finish the fence. It is so porous. Ranchers,
it's actually breaking down. The wall is actually, because of all the rain that we've had. I just read an article in the Sierra Vista Herald that they were talking about how if something doesn't get done, it's just going to collapse.
It's going to collapse because where the lowlands are with all this rain that we've got, all of the support structure and everything is getting washed out. Yeah, and it's collapsing the fence. But I don't understand why we can't finish that fence. But that's a whole political thing, and that's not what we're here for.
I'm of the generation where if you saw something that you didn't like, you changed the channel. Or you stood quietly. You didn't have to put it in people's faces. Oh, well, I can't stand it. And like today, if people find out anything about you, if they don't like it, it's like, you get slammed for it.
Well, not only that, but then, if you do anything in public and it's not liked, then what do you get? You get the banners, you get the signs, you get the protesters.
Right.
I cannot believe that in our country, there is a tolerance. Protesting, demonstrating, that's one thing.
Right.
But when you go into neighborhoods and you attack people, you burn down the very businesses that support that neighborhood, and a lot of these people don't live there, so they don't care. It's our country is eroding on the inside, and it scares me.
Well, what does it say about somebody that has to use violence to get their point across?
And the statistics show that that's like less than 3% of the total population of these crazies that are going out there and doing all this stuff.
Right.
Attacking people, setting fires, turning over cars and all that stuff. So it's kind of like the loudest voice gets the most attention. And then, of course,
right,
you've got the
social media.
Sure,
sitting
so
there.
that's changed everything a lot too.
Yeah.
It's I understand. I fought for freedom under the Constitution for the people in the United States, but I did not fight to allow people to destroy our country from the inside.
Correct.
That is highly disturbing.
And I think that we as a nation need to recognize exactly like that's going on here. And I don't know a good way to stop it. And I know I don't want to get too political here, but you're bringing up some very good, valid points that are just like, how do you deal with it? Because you have politicians that are, I don't want to get too political because that's not what we're here for, like you said. Let's talk a little bit about the organization that you're with, Vietnam Veterans of America. And can you tell us about them, how they were formed?
They were formed like in 1973. It was a different organization for a short period of time, very politically motivated at ending the war in Vietnam. And then when the war ended, then they needed to do a transition to provide a support role for all of those people that had served in Vietnam.
Okay.
So they transitioned. I don't remember what their original name was. They transitioned to the Vietnam Veterans of America. They built the Constitution. They built bylaws and all that stuff. And it took off. We're congressionally approved organization.
Okay.
It's not like we're built it on our own. We actually have a charter from Congress to exist. But we've done some great things over the years. There's a lot of work to do. We've taken great strides in getting recognition for exposures like the Agent Orange,
which the VA fought against for years and years.
But our persistence and increased cases of Agent Orange, A lot of people never knew about it. They had sicknesses. They had health issues. It wasn't until they developed a test to detect it. They said, if you served in Vietnam, you need to go to the VA and get a blood test. And they said, oh my God, we've got like 46,000 people in the U.S. that we've tested in the first year, and all of them have signs and symptoms of Agent Orange.
I helped a gentleman yesterday at the DAV that came in. He's already a disabled veteran, and he needed to add to his claim for hypothyroidism.
Yes, that's
due to Agent Orange.
Yeah, there's a long and expanding list of health issues.
Diabetes.
Diabetes is one of those.
Ischemic
High blood
heart
pressure.
disease.
Yes, a lot of things that are connected to this, and the sprays and stuff, the defoliants and stuff that we used in Vietnam, very toxic.
Right.
We were not privy to it until like 5 years after I got back from Vietnam is when the information started coming out.
It's not like you got a warning, hey, we're getting ready to spray. I mean, if you were there, you got sprayed.
Yes,
or exposed to it.
And I did. We were reopening Quezon in late to midsummer of 1971, and we were walking in. We were the initial push in there. We went there to provide security, so we had like a battalion force that was going up through there, and we had 3 C-130s that came by flying, spraying defoliants.
Right.
And we didn't find out till 3 or 4 days later that that's what we got sprayed with. So I made sure that a lot of my guys went to sick calling and told them on such and such a date, 3 C-130s flew overhead, spraying something out of it.
Right.
And we were told that it's the Agent Orange defoliant. So they had it in their medical records, and a couple of those guys are not with us anymore. The Agent Orange, the effects of that took them. I'm lucky, knock on wood. I had that exposure, but I've got a lot of those things they talk about, with the diabetes and high blood pressure and all that stuff. So,
have you had the honor to go to the Vietnam War Memorial?
I've been to the wall twice.
Twice, okay.
Twice, and we have gone in the last few years. We've actually had the traveling Vietnam Wall come into Sierra Vista.
I remember that.
And supported that
Very
on
moving.
those occasions. And we also have a couple memorials in the county for those people for the Vietnam War and for Agent Orange. So we get a lot of support in the community, along with the other veteran organizations that are here.
Right.
We're collectively on the same sheet of music, collectively in Washington, D.C. They're constantly talking with professional medical people.
And they're getting ready they're working on doing updating the memorial at the Veterans Park.
At Veterans Park here, and they're adding names to the wall in Washington, D.C. as we recover those that have been missing or POWs. POWMIA. As they get those people, those remains returned, there's a program in place to add them to the wall. I think they're going to add like another panel on each side, and then they will engrave their names there to include them in the total.
So if we have any Vietnam veterans out there that are watching this episode, what could they do that if they're not a member of your organization? How could they get information on joining?
We have a meeting the second Saturday of every month at 9, and we're done by 10. Typically,
it's probably in my notes here.
Probably in your notes.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at the VFW.
Okay.
Because where we normally have our meeting, they're doing some remodeling. They found asbestos. So in October, we hope to return back to our home, if you will.
Where's that at?
Oh, I know you're going to ask that.
Did I? Oh, okay.
It's another one of the veteran organizations.
Okay.
They have the Oktoberfest here in town.
Well, because I'm a member of the Elks, and they had.
Elks.
Is that the Elks?
Elks.
Yeah, because they had to do the remediation.
We have coffee and donuts, and sometimes a real breakfast to order kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But with this COVID thing, we stopped doing the regular breakfast, so it's just donuts and coffee by donation. We try and limit the meeting to 1 hour, but we cover a lot of real estate in that hour, and out of that comes a lot of our community projects to reach out there and help veterans through the volunteer system, going out and clean up a guy's yard, getting him help to file for his disabilities. There's a plethora of things that we do to support all of the Vietnam vets. And if nothing else, if these guys that are thinking about joining or thought about joining, camaraderie.
Yes.
We meet, we have the meeting, and there are a couple groups of people that will go to Landmark or they'll go to McDonald's, and they'll sit around and they'll have coffee and they'll talk about whatever. One thing we do not do in our meetings is we do not relive the war.
Okay.
We are very, very careful about not bringing topics up that would,
trigger PTSD.
Trigger PTSD or anything like that. All of our stuff is what's going on internal, and then what community projects and stuff do we have going on? Where do we need volunteers to clean yards? If they're healthy enough, we got a couple roofs now that we're just kind of waiting for a good break or the end of the monsoon.
Weather, yeah.
Yeah, so we can go out.
But thank God we have rain, right?
We have rain. I'll take it. I'll
yeah.
take it all day long. So we go out there and put plastic on the roof, to keep them dry on the insides, maintain that quality of life. But at the end of the monsoon, we'll have a lot of projects. We're not an expensive organization to join. $50.
Wow.
Is all it cost you one time and
fee.
You're a lifetime member.
$50. That's a good deal.
And we do provide a lot of community information. We get a lot of information from our state council up in Phoenix, and we are connected to the national organization in Washington, D.C. So we get newsletters like twice a month giving us updates on what's going on in Vietnam veterans.
Wow.
And we push that out to the members.
That's why we were running a little bit late today, because you were helping a veteran,
I was, yes.
So veterans care about veterans, period. I mean, we care about our country too, but
we do.
A veteran needs help, we're going to step up and help them out.
And there are those that want to be members because they just want that connectivity, that if they need help, they've got a place to go to get it. Camaraderie. They come to the meetings. It's not a requirement to volunteer for any of our projects, but I will tell you, volunteering with our organization, doing small projects, because we understand we're an aging veteran organization.
I think all of us are, all the organizations.
So, well, yeah, but you got the VFW and stuff like that. They're getting the guys that are.
But Vietnam era vets and Vietnam vets,
yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Our numbers are dwindling. Our health is deteriorating with age, along with Agent Orange. So yes, we got a lot of challenges, but we provide that camaraderie. We have that connectivity to the VA and to our sister and brother organizations to get them the help that they need. So.
Because we don't want this veteran suicide numbers to keep going up too.
They're too high.
And they're too high.
They're too high.
That's one of the things that I love about the Warrior Healing Center is that's one of their biggest things that they want to try and help prevent is veteran suicide prevention.
Well, all of the veteran organizations are on board with that. And the trouble is, if people don't associate with some of these organizations, and that's why we dropped ours down to $50, because there's a lot of veterans that are on a really tight fixed income, that can't afford the $300 or $250 that it takes to join some of these, or pay $30, every year or more, 50, 60, 70 to join these organizations. We purposely made ours low, so even someone that has a fixed income is able to join. We've got that camaraderie. We put out a lot of information on where they can go to get help. They can request help. I mean, we do things for the Vietnam and Vietnam era. So let me jump on that too.
Please.
We're not just a Vietnam organization that takes in members.
Okay.
It's Vietnam and Vietnam era.
Which is, do you know what the years are for that by any chance off the top of your head?
We just changed the criteria. It goes from 1959 because we had Special Forces advisors working with the people that were in charge of Vietnam at the time, all the way to May of 1975.
Okay.
So we've got a long period of time right there where we're covering. So,
and if
again,
you're
$50 to join. So,
right.
But the thing of it is, if you're in a situation where your income, because you retired, you participated in the Vietnam War, but you retired, let's say 1968. As long as you have something on your DD-214 that shows that you were active duty and you were in assignment where you were helping or you were actually in Vietnam, it's like, welcome home.
Because Vietnam era doesn't mean that you were in country, right?
Correct.
Vietnam era means
Correct.
you could be support in the States or whatever.
Correct. And your DD-214 will show your time in service. And if you hit between that 1959, to the end date in 75, you're good to go.
Isn't there so much history on those DD Form 214s when they bring them? I've looked at some of these Vietnam veterans, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much history on those things.
There is, and the one thing that we can tie to is the units of assignment. Okay, you got your dates on your active duty and your units of assignment. That's how we can tell whether you're an actual Vietnam veteran or you're a Vietnam era veteran. We don't separate the two. You're part of the organization. We couldn't do the things we did in Vietnam unless you, the Vietnam era guy, were doing the things that you needed to do in Italy, Germany, Fort Ord, California, wherever you were at. You guys were taking care of the home front so we could concentrate on doing our job and not have to worry so much about our families. So
somebody had to supply the bullets, right?
Somebody had to supply the bullets. Somebody had to get the repair parts for the vehicles, and our guns and other fighting machine stuff. So
if you are a Vietnam veteran or a Vietnam era veteran, and they would like to get a hold of Bill, do you work here out of the Warrior Healing Center, or can they reach you through here?
I do have an office here at the Warrior Healing Center. We were the third organization in the building. If you come in to the front desk and there doesn't happen to be somebody in the office, if you leave your information, I will get that contact information and I will reach out to you. But second Saturday of every month, generally that is our meeting, our scheduled meeting. The only time that changes is like in November, and then in December we have a Christmas party.
Oh, okay.
So whenever there's a big military type event, we move our meeting to the following week, to the third week. So if you're ever not sure of when or where the meeting is going to be, you can always ask here at the Warrior Healing Center.
They'll know.
If not,
Kathy's really good about keeping those lists.
And if not, they will give you my contact information, and you can either call or email, or we'll make arrangements to meet and talk. And
is there anything else that you'd like to share with our veterans and dependents? Anybody that might be watching us right now? Is there any?
Right now, I'm concentrating on veterans assistance in the community, whatever that happens to be. Whether it's weed whacking, trash pickup, whether it's rides to an appointment, anything veteran related. Don't hesitate to reach out and make contact with us. If it's something we don't normally do, we still can go through the process and make arrangements to help you.
That's
So we're Cochise County wide. So we do have people in Douglas and we do have people in Wilcox that we're helping on a regular basis. So if you think that, oh well, they're in Sierra Vista, and I don't live in Sierra Vista, so they can't help me, that's not a true statement. We're Vietnam veterans of Cochise County, but unfortunately, there's the mindset out there. Oh, they're in Sierra Vista, they won't come out here and help me. I'm here to tell you, yes, we go to Douglas and we go out to Wilcox and we go to some of the other small communities in Cochise College. Yes, we are here to help the veterans.
That's outstanding. Bill, thank you for coming in. I know you've been busy today. Lots going on here at the Warrior Healing Center. A lot of traffic coming in and out. So I do have a few quick announcements here real quick. I don't know if you got a couple of minutes or
I do. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
So again, Bill Beecher with the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1093 here in Cochise County. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And we are here in the building, the Warrior Healing Center. So if you need help or assistance, either call or stop in and leave a note. And I've got people that will reach out to you and we'll see what we can do to
get you some help.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got a few announcements here, and then we'll wrap it up here. So on Friday, well, actually today, I got to keep remembering it. Today, Friday, August 13th, at 1900, there's the RWB, which is Red, White, and Blue night, Ruck. It's at Cochise College downtown parking lot tonight at 1700 hours. Tomorrow is the VVSV group ride, which meets at Pueblo del Sol Country Club parking lot, and that's at 07:30 tomorrow morning. Also tomorrow at 17:30, we have the American Legion Auxiliary Annual Quarter Auction. It's going to be at American Legion 24. Do you know where American Legion 24 is?
I don't off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'd have to Google that one and see. On Saturday, August 14th, from 1800 to 2200, is the Hot August Nights Sock Hop, hosted by Cochise County Marines at the VFW Post 992. So this is tomorrow, 1800 to 2200. Again, it's the Hot August Nights Sock Hop at the VFW. It's open to the public and meals are available. On Sunday, August 15th at 0700, we have the Red, White, and Blue Run and Walk Bisbee 1000 at Contessa's Cantina parking lot. On Monday, August 16th, from 1730 to 1830, we have the Five Treasures of Qigong here at the Warrior Healing Center. On Wednesday, August 18th, from 1700 to 1900 hours, we have the Cochise Serving Veterans Resource Fair meeting. That's going to be here at the Warrior Healing Center at the front conference room. And 1 week from today, we do have the Veterans Resource Fair coming up. I'll be doing my interview from the Sierra Vista Mall. I'll be interested to see how we're going to do that because I've never done a remote interview before. On Thursday, August 19th, from 1830 to 1930, we have the Warrior Headspace and Timing, which is a PTSD support group here at the Warrior Healing Center. On Friday, August 20th, 1600 to 1800, we have the Gratitude Drum Circle here at the Warrior Healing Center. And then Friday, August 20th, from 1700 to 2200, we have the American Legion Riders Bike Night and Dinner here in Sierra Vista at the American Legion Post 52. That one I know.
Okay, all right.
That one I know. Saturday, August 21st, at 1800, we have the Sergeant Major's Annual Dinner / Membership Drive at the Landmark Cafe. Saturday, we have August 21st, we have the Warrior Healing Center Movie Night, The Vault, 1800 to 2000 at the Warrior Healing Center main conference room. And what they do is they're going to be showing a movie, provide popcorn, at least that's what they did last time. You just needed to bring yourself and your favorite soda or water. And lastly, on Sunday, August 22nd, from 1400 hours, we have the Rwb Book Club at Libya's Coffee. And that does it.
And I'll put this plug out. Second Saturday of the month, Vietnam veterans, we have our meeting. Like I said, we at 8:15 or so, we've got the coffee and donuts by donation. Come check us out.
Yes,
a
please.
lot of organizations say, well, if you join, you can come to the meetings. We're not. And by the way, if you're married,
bring your spouse.
You can bring your spouse. So the doors are open. We want that information that we have available to get to the family members. The more information we get out there, the better equipped we are to help our veterans.
And can you give us the place and date and time again, please? One last time.
For tomorrow.
Yeah, for tomorrow.
What's the date?
August 14th.
August 14th. We will be at the VFW.
Okay.
The meeting starts promptly at 9, and we're usually done right at 10 because the ladies' bingo group pushes us out the door.
Oh yeah, you got to watch out for bingo.
Got to get out of the way. You cannot interfere with with bingo. So, but if you have any questions, can I put a number out there for them?
Yes, please, by all means, and I'll put it in the comment section too.
All right. Yeah, if you can reach out to me, my number is 520-559-1193, and I will answer your questions. We also have a veteran service officer, so if you're thinking about a claim or you need other helpful information, Agent Orange or any of the other information that's out there with the veteran, just reach out to us. You can always stop in at the Warrior Healing Center at the front desk, leave a note. If it's really, really important, they'll reach out. They'll get a hold of me on the phone. And
awesome.
If you give me about 15 minutes, I can be here. We'll open up the office and we'll go have a private conversation, see what it is that our organization can do for you.
And your number is 520-559
1193.
1193. So I could put it down in the comments section later today.
Yep, reach out. If nothing else, you just have some questions. We'll do our best to answer those for you. If you're curious, which most people are, veterans,
check it out.
Come to the meeting. Call me and double check to make sure the time and the place, and we'll hook you up.
Oh, thank you, Beth. Beth just let me know that the American Legion post, I think it was 24, I got to find it on here, is in Tombstone. So I was kind of thinking that, but I didn't want to be presumptive. So
and one last thing, we participate in the local parades to the extent that we can. We've just made the decision. A lot of us can't walk at the pace that we'd like to and need to keep up on the parade. So generally over at Tombstone, we go out to Wilcox, and then of course the Veterans Parade here. If you want to participate, we're going to have a couple vehicles towing a trailer. Get the information from the folks here about where that assembly area is, and come out and ride along. Take a little flag. We'll go down Fry Boulevard, and show your support.
There's nothing wrong with being patriotic,
and that's your patriotism here in the community. So, looking forward to see you all. Please come check us out. No obligation. It's not like you got to bring a check for $100 to get in the door. We want you to come in the door and get the experience of being part of the Vietnam veteran community.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much again for coming in and sitting in with us here. So Michael Zehr here at the Rising Eagle Studios, Warrior Healing Center, Sierra Vista, Arizona. That's the show for today. Again, take care, everybody. Bye.
Ciao.